Are you really? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. Are you?
You're not too bad. Um, do you want to just tell everybody about your case and what's happened um, with it all? It's just unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's disgusting to be fair. So I was with my former partner for 4 years. Um, the standard charismatic, charming, infectious personality that they portray to you from the off go. Um, and it was just a whirlwind. It was absolutely magical. And then it just went downhill within 6 months of being with him. And the physical abuse started. I now know that the mental, the psychological, and emotional abuse was also going on, but it's so very minimal that you never pick up on the signs until it's so far too late
Mm.
that you're then trapped psychologically. You're trapped. That trauma bond is ultimately their game, and to break you down, it was already there.
Like
Um,
what? Like what? For example.
so there'll be there'll be little things like I would invite my friends over for barbecues and I'd make it, I'd obviously run it past him. Do you fancy a barbecue after work? Get the friends over, blah, 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 blah. He was like, yeah, no worries. So then the little things come where he's hours late and then he doesn't even say hi to people or me when he walks through the door. And then instead of actually interacting and socializing and what the purpose of the afternoon was for, he would then start defrosting the freezer. Um, and then like the little things where he starts replacing things in your house, making out that it's because I deserved better, when in actual fact it's because my things weren't good enough for him.
Yeah.
There was never a gift that he ever bought me to start with. Well, for quite a few months actually, that was directly for me. Like a partner would buy you some flowers or some chocolates, or, it doesn't have to be massive, but he would be replacing the kitchen items. So my frying pan wasn't good enough for him, or the utensils, or I didn't have a microwave at the time, and he couldn't understand how anyone could live without a microwave. I wasn't bothered. So then he'd gift me a microwave, and it wouldn't be just a bog standard one, it'd be the top of the range one.
Mm.
So his love bombing came from replacing all of those things. And I didn't see it at the time as what it actually is love bombing, and just little subtle hints that what I have is not enough. Um, I just thought he was being kind, basically. Um, and then you would have the little stuff like, I don't like you wearing ripped jeans. I just think they look a bit chavvy. So then my birthday came along, and the gifts from him would be a replacement of, I think there's about 6 or 7 pairs of different new jeans, all with no rips in.
Mm.
And it's those little things. And then you start to question yourself. And, it would be like, I don't like you wearing just one-sided jumpers, like the one arm's out, one's not. I like it to be symmetrical. I like you looking symmetrical.
Yeah.
So then you're questioning then what you're wearing, because naturally, especially when you're in a new relationship, you make more of an effort, don't you? Because
Yeah.
you just do. It's just part and parcel, and it makes you feel good as well. Um, but then you start questioning what you're wearing. Is he going to like me in what I'm wearing? Or am I going to get these passive aggressive little digs that you don't necessarily see at the time as being passive aggressive? But it's just a little way of, or is he not going to say that you look beautiful today? Because that's just enough for a woman, isn't it? To not be told that you look beautiful by the one person you want to hear that from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And when did it start? When did he start getting physically violent towards you?
so we got together in May 2020, and it was New Year's Eve of that year. That was the first one, and I've never ever been subject to any form of abuse in my whole life. I've always been very fortunate to be surrounded by beautiful people. I didn't know what the word narcissist was, never even heard of it, didn't know what it meant. Any forms of abuse, I was quite naive to it. I would only kind of like read it in books or watch it on telly, on movies and stuff. I'm not really one for reading and catching up with the news. I found that it would be quite depressing for me, so I'd keep myself away from that. He claimed that I was being ignorant to the world, but I was just having self-preservation for my mental health. But when that happened, I was so taken back and it was such a brutal attack, considering it was the first one as well. I couldn't actually believe what had just happened. I was absolutely just, yeah.
Did you report that one?
No, I didn't report that one. That it was the one after that I reported. I didn't report that one, I think, because I was just so shell shocked. And I couldn't believe that I felt like we had such a perfect relationship at that time. And I really thought I had found my missing piece and that this was going to be me done now forever.
Mm.
I literally thought I'd hit jackpot with him. So I just accepted his apology and accepted the fact that he put it down to the fact that we had quite a lot of alcohol. It was New Year's Eve. And yeah, he promised me it'd never happen again, and I believed him.
And how long after did it happen again?
Less than 2 months. Less than 2 months after, and my son witnessed that one. And I reported that one to.
What did they do? Were they supportive?
No, not really. So it was actually my ex-partner who rang the police. He turned around and said that whoever rings the police first is who they believe. I'll never forget him saying that. And the police turned up and actually witnessed him slamming the car door onto my arm repeatedly. So arrested him immediately and held him in custody overnight. They then came back and took a statement from me and my son. But it was COVID at the time, and there was such a backlog. There was no support there. There was no victim support. I was constantly trying to chase them for an update. Nothing was happening. And all throughout all of this, social services had been in contact with me, told me that if I was to report anything else and his name was to be brought up to them in relation to me again, they would take all 3 of my children away from me. So that instantly made me retract my statement. The trauma bond between me and him was so high anyway, that the one thing that you know is actually the worst thing for you is the one thing that would take all that pain away in a heartbeat. So I retracted my statement, got back with him. He assured me he was going to get help. And obviously I feared. The last thing I ever wanted to do was lose my kids. So it wasn't actually up until, so then I carried on in the relationship, and I was subject to so many beatings, so much psychological, emotional, physical abuse from him, which were happening on a monthly basis. And it could be a couple of times a month, it could be once every couple of months, but each time got worse. It got to the point where I was so isolated, completely distanced myself from friends, family. Got to the point that my mental health was so bad that my ex-husband actually had to take full custody of the children, because I couldn't function. I couldn't even talk to them. I was so poorly every single day, and I couldn't understand why. Um, I was very close to being diagnosed with fibromyalgia, um, and chronic fatigue. And it got to March of last year when he held me captive in the bedroom for 2.5 hours. And every single time I moved, he beat me. He sexually assaulted me. He tried to kill me, strangled me, suffocated me. At one point, I thought my spine was going to break. He stomped on my ears with his shin whilst holding me on the floor over and over again. This was all the day before Mother's Day. It seemed like every single occasion that was coming up, he would find a way to ruin it. He would find a way where I wasn't able to enjoy anything.
Yeah.
He didn't like the fact that I was liked and that I run a successful business and that people were giving me 5-star reviews. He would belittle it by going, "Oh, look at that. 5-star Hayley turns up again. Like everyone loves Hayley, blah, blah, blah." And he didn't like it. He didn't like the fact that I was earning more money than him every week. Yeah, he didn't like the fact I was earning more money than him every week. He just wanted full control over me. And in that March incident, I tried to jump out of the window many times. I was screaming out for my neighbours. They couldn't hear me. He'd turned all the lights off in the house to make out that nobody was in. He was just, he was,
Do you think
I
you
find,
do you believe did you believe he were gonna kill you?
yeah, because it wasn't the first time he'd said it. And whilst he's strangling you and then going to get a pillow to suffocate you and saying the words, "Shall I just end you now?" with the I don't know if any other person's experienced this, but I couldn't understand why he has got the most piercing blue eyes, but when that rage is there, there's no blue. It's just black. It's just every part of his eye is black. It's just evil oozing out of him. And when
Mm.
he's looking at you like that and there's no blue left in his eyes and you've just been subject to all of this, you're going to believe he's going to kill you. There was no let up. And then I took my son's insulin pen out of my bedside table drawer and I thought, you are not having the last control over me. If I'm going tonight, I'm doing it myself. And then he just took that off me. And then it was like all of a sudden he just snapped out of it, just stopped. And he goes, and in the commotion of it all, he had lost his phone. And he said, "Help me find my phone and you can go." And then he just turned the light on. I found his phone and he just let me go. And throughout all the pain I was in, I didn't care. I ran and I ran and I ran. And I jumped in my car and I really shouldn't have drove, but I just wanted to get out of there. Drove back to my ex-husband's house, put on, like, covered myself in as much makeup as I could. My kids had arranged a full Mother's Day the next day, and I were not going to let them down. So I grit through every single piece of pain that I had, and it was excruciating pain. And I put on that show for them for that day, even though I could barely move. And then it was the next day I had to go to hospital, and they couldn't even take my blood pressure. Every part of me was bruised. It was just disgusting. They said to me, "You must be made of strong stuff because if you could see what was going on internally, externally, you'd ping up like a Christmas tree." And I don't know how I didn't have any broken bones, how we didn't do anything more damaging than bruising to me, because I don't know. I just don't know. That was the worst one for me.
I'm
Yeah.
so sorry, Hayley. It's horrific.
Mm.
Absolutely horrific. Do you think that if you'd have had more support instead of social services threatening to take your children at that time, do you think that that would have, if somebody would have stepped in at that point, it could have prevented further harm?
I think if there was more thought out there and knowledge for victims of this abuse, you know, like the trauma bond, that, because that's the reason, the manipulation that these perpetrators inflict on their victims. They get inside here, they make you feel like you're crazy, they make you feel like, had you not have said this or had you not have done that, I wouldn't have acted in that way.
Mm.
And I think if there was more knowledge and support for victims out there, then yeah, I think a lot of victims would leave sooner.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really do.
I mean, removing your children the answer, is it? That's just gonna
And
make
that's
you
what I'm
less.
doing.
That's because you'll have not reported what were going off, will you?
Yeah,
For fear of losing your kids.
yeah. And I feel like I was persecuted for that in the trial by his barrister. Well, why didn't you report it? If it was that bad, why did you keep going back? If it was that bad, why did you not get out? But it's not simple. It's not that simple. I genuinely never thought I was getting out of that alive.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I know that feeling. I know that feeling
And
well.
you're absolute in court. You're absolutely persecuted for being the victim. The lies that are coming out from the perpetrator, from the barrister, and I know that they're just trying to do their job. They've got to defend. That's what they're paid for, to defend the perpetrator. But you are trying to insinuate that a victim that has been through the most harrowing and disgusting levels of violence and trauma are lying. And victims have to have so much evidence to get
Mm.
to that point to then just be told, no, he's not guilty. Well, yes, he is. Just because
Yeah.
12 people are saying that he's not guilty does not mean that didn't happen. It means they've got a shred bit of doubt. They could have the tiniest bit of doubt and they are ordered to say not guilty. And that's what happened in mine. He got charged with 14 different offences. And they were only allowed to take that back by 2 years in our relationship. And had they have taken it back the full 4 years, he'd be bordering on 30 odd charges. And they weren't allowed to do it. So he's not only got away with 10 of those charges from the trial, he's got away with whatever else the first 2 years had held. And there's nothing I can do about it. But he can
And
stand up on that stand and say, I don't know, I don't remember. And yeah, you can go, I don't know, I don't remember.
how is that justice?
Yeah. And he gets away with it. But as a victim, you've got to have all this evidence to prove you're telling the truth. But the perpetrator can just say, I don't know, I don't remember. All right, then you're not
Yeah.
guilty.
Yeah. It's all back to front, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
From start to finish, it's all back to front.
Yeah.
And he get 3 years?
He got 3 years, yeah. And that was for 3 counts of ABH and 1 common assault. And he got a 10-year restraining order, which he's already broken since he's been released. But the police are doing nothing about that because they class it as a thin breach. A breach is a breach. What the hell is the point in having these orders to protect victims if you're not going to action it?
Exactly.
So not only does he have the restraining order, he's also got a no contact license condition, which he's broken, and no repercussion, as far as I'm aware at this moment, is going to be taking place. So it's like,
and you're left living in fear,
yeah,
wondering what's going to come next.
yeah. So since he's been out, he's closed down my business Google account. He's having people ringing me on private numbers, pretending to be people that they're not. His parents have been driving up and down the street, following me. What else has he done? He's been going onto my TikTok and he's been liking my videos. He's been going onto my followers and looking at their profiles to see if he can see anything about me. And, you know, just having a notification come through on your phone that's got his name and that link to it.
And that's the
Absolutely fun.
thing. Yeah, that's the
It's
thing,
soul
isn't it?
destroying.
People don't get, like, why don't they get that? What that it feels like for you, just for the fact that he's looking at your profile.
Yeah.
Why? He shouldn't be
Exactly.
allowed to intrude in your privacy ever
No.
again. End of.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
no thin order. It's all bullshit.
Exactly. And Staffordshire, because he's actually residing in Staffordshire at the moment in a probation hostel, that was part of his early release. They have said that even though I've provided them the evidence for all of these things that have been going on, that it's not enough evidence. Well, what classifies as enough evidence then, or is it just because it's not severe, it's too like trivial for you? But what you don't understand is I know this man through and through, and I know these underhanded methods that seem really trivial to you all. There's much deeper meaning towards them. And when he is able to come back to Derby, that's when the direct threat's going to be there. And then what do? I've got to wait to be beaten again. Is that what it is? Before you actually go, hold on a minute, she was right. And that's what happened in the first place. Even after the March incident, it wasn't till May that he was actually arrested and remanded because he broke his bail order and came and assaulted me again. And that's what's going to happen. I can feel it in my gut. And that's the one thing that has never lied to me throughout the whole of these, like, nearly 5 years now. Your gut never lies.
No, always go with your gut feeling. Even if there's that little inkling something's not right, always listen to that. Because usually, if you're not sure about something, it's usually for a very good reason. And I think it's absolutely disgraceful, and it's not an isolated case either, is it? This is happening all the time. But yet we've got a government that's saying they're going to halve violence against women and girls. What do you say to that, Hayley?
At the moment, my MP is dealing with this, and he's had Lord Timpson involved with it. And Lord Timpson has actually reached out directly to Matt's probation officer, and he's taken a personal interest in my case. Lord Timpson's
it's interesting you've said that, because I've had a petition running since 2023, the Tag an App, and James Timpson is aware of that. And it's an absolute must that needs to be in place, I think, in this country.
Yeah, I agree.
He's been abroad, and it's proved that it's working. Just for everybody listening, the Tag an App would be where the perpetrator is tagged electronically. I personally will go one step further and microchip them so they can't take a tag off.
Yeah.
And the victim has an app on her mobile phone, and he is tracked GPS. And if he comes anywhere near her, it alerts her. Simple as. It alerts the police at the same time. Go and arrest him, lock him up, end of. Because these orders, there is absolutely no excuse whatsoever for him to be contacting you, for him to be looking at your profile, for him to be coming anywhere near you. And there's no piece of paper going to stop him doing that.
No.
And the technology that we've got these days, why the hell are they not getting this implemented fast?
Yeah. It's just disgusting. It's all disgusting. There is absolutely nothing for the victims and everything for the perpetrators, and I can't see that that's going to change anytime soon.
It's
I really
because the
can't.
perpetrators have got more human rights than the victim.
But the victims wouldn't be victims if the perpetrators didn't do what they did to them, and that goes with
Exactly.
every single crime that's out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And none of us asked to be these victims. None of us asked for any of these awful crimes to happen to us. But we're the ones left picking up the pieces, trying to rebuild our lives, when they
Yeah.
just get to walk out free after serving 2.5 months of a 3-year custodial sentence.
It's
When
disgraceful.
had ABH actually been categorised as domestic violence, if in a domestic setting in the first place, he wouldn't have been eligible for that early release. And that's another thing I'm really wanting to push for, because what I wasn't aware with, he was on technical bail for coercive and controlling behaviour, and the police chose to not run with that one, not because there wasn't evidence for it, but because they'd only managed to get the evidence for it 3 weeks before the trial was about to happen. And at this point, he had already nearly served 6 months on remand, and you legally can't keep them any longer than that without conviction. So they chose to not run with it because they thought that all the other charges that was there would be suffice enough. They genuinely thought we had a really exceptionally strong case, and we would get convictions across the board, so the custody sentence would be lengthier. But had I have really had the knowledge at the time to know that ABH was not categorised as domestic violence, and that actually the conviction rates for strangulation and suffocation are so low and so hard to actually achieve, and the sexual assault charges that was on there anyway, again, are always hard to prove unless you've got the forensic evidence for it, I would have told them to run with the coercive and controlling charge, because then he would never have been eligible for an early release. I would be still living in peace. I would be able to not have my house as a fortress and be able to live without fear for longer. And I never knew that. And I think the police should have made me aware of that, because, like, I've never been in this situation before. I've never even entered a courtroom.
No, I
Never
know.
had any dealings with the police at all. So I don't have the knowledge of any of this until I've had to go through it. And it's just disgusting, because now he's walking free. He has no doubt got somebody else, because he is a predator, 100% a sexual predator. The amount of times he cheated on me with sex workers as well as ordinary girls. I'm surprised I didn't get any STIs, to be honest with you. He's going to be on to his next victim, and I can't do anything to safeguard her. And that really breaks my heart.
He should be microchipped for the rest of his life. Simple as that. Because there's no way he's going to be rehabilitated, is there? Let's face
well, the
it.
police, my victim liaison officer already confirmed to me, 1, he got released because the prison is full, and 2, he has had no form of rehabilitation because he hasn't been in prison as a serving prisoner long enough to have had any. And that what, you're just letting him back out on the street? They assured me that he was going to be located, their exact words were, way out. He's been located in Stoke-on-Trent. And if he's got means to a vehicle, having an additional sign-in time throughout the day is not going to be able to stop him from getting to Derby and back on time. No way. There's just nothing for victims. And I think the biggest reason I wanted to do this, and the biggest reason I keep speaking out, is 1, because I want ABH to be categorised as domestic violence if it is in that setting. And 2, we need more support for victims.
Yeah.
We need these orders to actually be taken seriously. Because what's the point in them? You're handing someone a 10-year restraining order, which is really hard to come by anyway. They don't give them out lightly, not 10 years anyway. He breaches it. Doesn't matter what level of breach is. A breach is a breach. End of.
Yeah, exactly. But what my argument is with it, if he was to be tagged and monitored properly electronically, and I'm not saying you would know all his whereabouts. How it should work is that you would know if he was coming within a certain distance to you, so that
So
you
then I
would
can risk
be
assess and safeguard.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
your children. Let's not forget that
Yeah.
you've got your kids
Yeah.
as well to protect.
Mm.
Now, there's no piece of paper going to do that, is there?
No.
And
No.
it only takes one breach. So this
Yeah.
like fine breach or whatever it is that they're rambling on about, which is a load of crap. Because like you say, a breach is a breach. But there would be none of that because
No.
he has got no excuse. He knows he shouldn't be anywhere near you. And this is my bugbear with it all, because these perpetrators know exactly how to play the game. They know that
Yes,
there's
they
no
do.
deterrent. There's no consequence. So
Yeah.
why not? Why can't I just terrorise her a little bit more because I get fun out of doing that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's allowed to. And he's allowed
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah. And it's just it's just soul destroying, because they do know how to play the system. They have
Yeah.
got their disdain for the rules is just so up here, like so next level.
Yeah.
They don't care. They don't care for the repercussions, and especially if the repercussions are what, 2.5 months as a serving prisoner. That's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
Exactly.
repercussions is that?
And what message does that give to others? That's,
Yeah.
there's no consequence behind any of it. They
I
need to
think if
clamp right down on it and make an
yeah,
example of what will happen if you break the law. Simple.
that's it. If you was to take my situation, for example, to another country, he would not be getting out.
No.
He wouldn't be
No.
getting out. End of. But yeah, he can do it in the UK, and what, he gets a slap on the wrist. And people keep saying, yeah, but Hayley, he's got convictions against his name now for the rest of his life. He already had that from another woman. There's already, like, the Clare's law.
But who would know? Who would know unless he were going for a job and having a DBS check done,
Yes.
right? He ain't walking
Yeah,
around with it tattooed on his head. I'm a perpetrator, is he?
exactly.
So
No,
how would other women know? And the
exactly.
thing is, yeah, Claire's law, yeah, that's great, but it takes sometimes months for that to come back. Months.
It took, I remember when I contacted Clare's law, it took them 4 months to get back to me. And then by the time I'd even contacted Clare's law, I was so heavily in it anyway, that they manipulate their way out of that. I remember him telling me, oh, you can ring my mum and ask my mum, it's all a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
And they play the victim. Like, when I first met him, he told me that he was in an abusive relationship previously to me, and he would pretend to have night terrors in the night. He was so convincing. It was really scary how much, and I believed him.
Yeah.
And I've no doubt that he's already out playing the victim himself on this one.
Yeah. God.
And there's no way I can safeguard anyone that comes across in his path, because they're not going to believe me, because they're just going to think.
But the thing is, Hayley, it's not your job to safeguard. It's the bloody law that should. It's that where is the safeguarding in that scenario? It can literally just come out and do it all again and worse.
Yeah. He's already
And
painting the victim card.
what we're gonna hear then, it'll be, oh, we'll learn from this. We'll learn from this. Sick to death of hearing it.
Yeah. He said in court, I never want to see her again. I have no intentions of ever speaking to her again. She has taken everything from me. Sorry, no, I didn't take nothing from you. Your actions took everything from you, not me.
Yeah.
And that's the card he's going to be playing. He played me out to be a scorned woman, and that I goaded him. Well, if goading means I'm coming to my partner to speak about an action that he's done to upset me, and that justifies him doing everything that he's done to me, then I'm guilty because that's all I did, you know. And I think it's very normal and natural to be able to go to your partner and say, hang on a minute, you've just done this, and it's actually really upset me. What are we going to do to resolve this matter? But instead, he would pick me up and throw me off the sofa, or instead he would go and cheat on me as part of punishment, you know, or I'd get a beating or whatever, or he'd ignore me for days. And then you start thinking, right, how am I going to make this up to him? How am I going to be able to say sorry? How can I just get the good Matt back? Because this trauma bond, it can't cope with this.
Yeah. You're
It's
so
just,
brave. You're so brave, Hayley. You really are, bless you. It's
thank you.
you really are, and keep speaking about it, because it's really important, and this is why I keep doing these podcasts. We've got to get
Yeah,
this reality. We've got to get the reality out there. And at the end of
yeah,
the day, there is no excuses. It needs to be a zero tolerance attitude towards it. End of. No
and
excuses.
absolutely,
There is no
absolutely.
excuses for it.
I'm not going to stop, because if me speaking about my story, my journey, you know, how I coped with it, how I get out, because I never genuinely thought I was ever getting out of that.
Mm.
If it can help just one person, if it can give bravery and courage to just one person, if I can get enough people to speak up and there becomes that change in the law,
Do you know what,
then I've
Ailey?
helped someone.
I said it 4 years ago when I set Resolute up. If I can just help one woman, if I can just
Yeah,
stop it happening to one
yeah,
woman, then it's been worth everything. And I'm 4 year down the line, and I want to say it's got better, but it hasn't. It's
no,
getting worse. It is
no,
getting worse. And this is why this government needs to stop with lip service and
yeah,
actually put real protection, real strict clamp down on it. That's it.
yeah, yeah.
End of.
I do need to give my MP, Jonathan Davies, a lot of credit. He has been absolutely incredible. Him and his assistant, Rosie, they are going above and beyond. They're contacting as many people as they possibly can. You know, my case went to the House of Commons and went to Shabina Mahmood to get answers. And that's when it got forwarded to Lord Timpson. And that they're not going to stop. They're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, because I don't think even Jonathan realized just how much of a dire state this country is in for
Yeah.
this subject.
Yeah.
He has been absolutely amazing. And he's not going to stop. So
Good. They all ought to be like it, though, because
yeah,
it is a
yeah, they do.
national. If we've got a national crisis,
Mm,
like they say we have, and the same as terrorism and all that crap that comes out the
mm,
mouth, then
yeah,
they need to start to take it seriously then, because
mm,
actions speak louder than words, don't they, at the end of the day? And we're all sick of hearing, oh, we'll learn
yeah,
from this, and we
yeah,
want real changes, and we're going to have violence against women and girls in 10 years. Hold on a minute. How many more women have got to lose their lives, either by
that's
committing
it. That's
suicide
it.
or being
Yeah.
murdered? No,
And this is
there
my
is
argument.
absolutely no excuse at
Yeah.
all.
This is my argument with Staffordshire Police at the moment. You're deeming all of these reports that I'm reporting to you, because you're telling me to report everything to you, but you're deeming them as not enough. So am I going to be another statistic of more should have been done?
Yeah,
Because that's what it's going to come to. I tell you something, this man, it will kill me one day. I have no doubt about it, unless he's actually held accountable for what he needs to be held accountable for. End of. It's happening. And you know what? Even his mum turned round to me once and said, he's going to kill you one day. But yet they sit there and enable his behavior. And the way they sat there in court, calling me a liar, even though she had seen it for herself, sorry. She watched him pick me up and throw me to the concrete. And she just literally went, oh, Matthew, and shut the door in my face. You know, and when there's parenting like that, what hope have we got for our children to be able to have
I
the
think
right
that's
parents?
the thing, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
You know, unless there's people like me and you that's going to be prepared, you
Mm.
know, to come out and speak as truths.
Yeah.
What the hell is going to happen to our kids that's growing up
Yeah.
into this shower of shit? That's what I want to call it, because
That's
it is.
exactly it. Yeah, it is. Absolutely. And
My favorite saying about this entire system is it's an absolute shit show, and
yeah.
it is. It's as
Yeah.
simple as that.
Mm.
And like you said, they don't realise how bad it is, I don't think, most of
No.
them.
And I think the big thing that I've noticed as well is from dealing with Derbyshire police, who have been absolutely incredible since his arrest in May. When all these little reports were being reported to them, they wanted to go and talk to him. They wanted to seize his devices. They wanted to go for control and coercive stalking and harassment. They were on it, really hot on it. But because he's now in Stoke, it's gone over to Staffordshire, and they've not got the same mentality. Now, why are we all in this country, all these different counties of policing, not working as one?
They don't share
I
the
don't
same
understand it.
they don't share the same system. And once you've
No,
crossed
they
county
don't.
lines, it's an
Yeah.
absolute nightmare.
Yeah. But you think, well, hang on, we're not in America where there's different laws in different states. We're in the UK. There's one rule. There's one law for UK. Why are we all not following the same systems, the same guidelines, the same protocols? Why are we not doing that? Because
Exactly.
why is it that Derbyshire's really hot on it? Because they know everything about this case.
Mm.
But yeah, Stafford's just like, oh no, not enough. He's not actually bruised you this time. We'll just wait for that to happen. It's just disgusting.
It makes me feel physically sick.
Yeah. Because the next thing that's going to come is that there'll be something in the media because he's actually been recalled for abusing me again. He may be playing good at the moment in regards to being clever playing good, because he's not playing good. He is still doing things he shouldn't be doing. He's just being very clever about it.
But that's why I said that it shouldn't be allowed. It should be straight back,
Yeah.
straight back.
Yeah. Yeah.
End
But they've
of.
not got the prison capacity for it, have they? So, I was talking to one of my clients who was a probation officer in Nottingham, and she was saying that sometimes the paperwork to recall these perpetrators takes hours, and if they're only going to be recalled for 14 days, 28 days or whatever, because that's the only amount of time that they can hold them for because they don't have the space, then it's just not worth doing. Even that in itself is disgusting. Just build a new prison.
We'll just let yeah, exactly. We'll just
Build
let
more
them just
prisons.
carry on breaking law and just
Yeah.
terrorize victims. It don't matter,
Yeah.
does it?
But if he was to be found or anyone's to be found with a bag of cocaine or something in their car, then they're going to get what, 10 years?
Yeah, the fine room then, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, it is.
It
So yeah,
really
whilst I've
is.
got fire in my belly, I will not be shutting up. So I just need to keep finding different avenues and
You do.
resources to go down. But if I can help even just one person and save someone's life, then that makes me a very happy woman.
Well, thank you for speaking to me today.
You're welcome. Anytime.
You are so brave, and keep in touch
Thank
with me,
you.
won't you?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely, I will.
if there's anything we can do together,
Yeah.
because I keep saying we need one big collaboration on this, just
Yeah,
to keep
100%.
going
I'm here
with it.
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we'll speak soon then.
Yeah. All right then.
But you take care, Hayley.
Yeah, and you. Thank you for speaking with me.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye.